And now at 17, a little bit of a club toss. Half-hearted club toss. I mean, as club tosses go, I wouldn't call that a great one. But,
well, I think the ability to self-correct was amazing there because he wanted to really hum it, but there was a BMW in the way.
we joke, but we think it's at work here, Brando. It could be any number of things.
Well, look, I mean, it's hard to know exactly. I mean, obviously, he's had some issues off the golf course that he's trying to deal with. So you never really know. You try to read into it what you can. But again, you go back to what happened at the U.S. Open, and you look at the last 10 years with Rory McIlroy, and when I look at it, and I look at what he's been through, I'm reminded of a scene in that movie, My Cousin Vinny. If you've ever seen this movie where Joe Pesci's character, Vinny, is sitting on the porch where the character played by Marisa Tomei, Lisa Vito, is telling him haranguing him about the 10, 15 things that are so important that he must win this case. And he goes, is there any more you-know-what that you can pile on the importance of me winning this case? And when I think about Rory, it's not the Grand Slam, it's a major championship, it's the health at the tour, it's beat Liv, it's a TGL, and a million other. Is there any more you-know-what that you can pile on the importance of him winning a major championship? And I just think that, and that combined with the fact that he's just not where he needs to be with his golf swing, you can see it when he finishes with a high right shoulder. You know, he does it with the wedges and he pulls them, he leaves them out to the right. I think he's fighting this battle with his golf swing. He's fighting it, and he has not been able to solve it. Yes, he's played some marvelous golf, but his irons are not what they need to be. He's coming from the inside, so he misses it to the right, he pulls it to the left, finishes with a high right shoulder. You just saw it on that swing with the 3-wood to the right. And you add all that on top of this mix, and I think he's very frustrated, and it comes out in moments like that.
You add all of that together, and there's been no reprieve. There's been no getting away from it. And I think that's the bigger issue, is the willpower at a certain point erodes. And I don't know what's going on inside his head, but I can only imagine at this point in the season, when you're fighting physical ailments, you're fighting the mental capacity to continue to push, the emotional trauma that he went through this season, there's a willpower bucket, and it's at the very bottom. And he knows he still has one more week next week that whatever's left in the bucket, he needs to conserve to that point. And it feels like that's what's happening.
It's not that these guys are necessarily playing, you know, a ton of events on the whole. You know, it's what, 17, 18, 19 tournaments for most of the big name players, and the 2 big ones in March, 2 in April. In this new world with the signature events, they'll play with 3 in June. I'm talking about the Memorial, the U.S. Open, and the Travelers all in consecutive weeks. Maybe 1 in July with the Open if you don't play the Genesis Scottish Open. This year with the Olympics and now the 3 playoff events, it's a big ask. That's 4 to close it out. Is that too much, or is that just that's the way it is? Football players, you get deep into the playoffs, you're at a 19th, 20th game in a year. Suck it up and get it done.
Look, there's a lot of off time in there. I mean, even if you're going to play globally, you add 2, 3, 4 more events in there, and you get to 24, 25. Everybody in the game of golf is being asked to do the same thing. Come together, major after major, signature events after signature. Everybody in the world of professional golf now is being asked to play the same schedule. So it does boil down to who is the fittest, who is the most focused, who is the most mentally tough. And at the end of the year, if you're a little bit off your game, a little bit frustrated, and look, there is a lot at stake. It's world ranking points, it's FedEx Cup, which I know these guys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but you'd like to think that $25 million still matters to them, and just the pride of hitting good shots. But when I hear people bemoan the fact that the schedule's tight, you just harken back to the days when, you go back to Arnold Palmer, 58 to 64. He was playing 25 events almost every year, certainly averaged 25 in that time. So they only play 17, 18, 19, 20 events on the PGA Tour. That's not a big ask. And they're the fittest athletes, and they're all flying private jets.
But I would also argue that the pile of you-know-what that is on each of these players week in and week out is heavier than it was 50 years ago. The spotlight is that much bigger. I mean, a lot of players that I've talked to, you feel like zoo animals inside the ropes. You're constantly on. Everybody's always watching every single move.
Got the phone, videotaping every move.
There's a reason we're showing the club throw, because we've got cameras on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're under the microscope all of the time. So it's more than just travel and play golf. It is the emotional toll that it takes to be on all the time. So I agree that there's $25 million to play for. they are well compensated for what they're doing, but that doesn't take away that they are still human and still having to deal with everything that goes with it.
Well, we know how hard this game is. You guys both played at the highest levels. Does it take a toll on you? And is it more mental than physical?
You know, I never felt like I had a moment off when I played professional golf. You know, you're up first thing in the morning, you practice all day, you go to the gym. I was thinking about it at night. So yeah, and when you're at these tournaments, and I remember my pop used to give me a little bit of grief about it. I'd take a week off, and he was like, "What do you mean you're tired?
Right.
You can't."
You're playing golf.
Yeah, you just hit golf balls all day long. But the mental grind, the physical grind, and the fact that you're gone all the time and you're away from your family and you're away from your friends. And
but I can imagine people on social media they're weighing in right now. Oh, please pipe down.
No,
with
they're
that.
well compensated for it.
You guys are flying
very well compensated, but they're the best of the best. But well, let's not say that they're not making sacrifices.
It is not a normal life, and you live in this vortex on tour that everybody makes it feel normal. And it is not normal, the way that they live, the sacrifices that they make to play professional golf. So I think, yes, the toll at a certain point does start to erode the golf along with it.
And it does cause stress at home.
Yeah, and you tie your self-worth, much as you tell yourself not to, you tie your self-worth to your scores. I remember Marco Mira once joked to me, he said that he not only at one particular tournament hit a bad shot, he concluded that he was a bad human being. Joking, just laughing, and Marco's as good a guy as you're ever going to meet. But those who play the game, you understand what he was saying.
It's hard not to do that, and you'll hear the best of the best players say that they try very hard not to link their self-worth to their golf score. But that's 20, 30 players in the world that may have that luxury.
Even
everybody else
Lydia
is on the edge.
mentioned it today. Or this week, excuse me. Lydia Ko mentioned it this week. This is a player that just inducted into the Hall of Fame, was the youngest champion on the LPGA Tour, has lived in the spotlight for a long time, and she said, golf is my life. I wish it wasn't, but it is.
And you and I had a chance to speak with Scotty Scheffler's parents, the Pro-Am on Wednesday. His mom was just so bright and wonderful, Diane. I asked her, I said, okay, help me out so that we don't do another strokes gained deep dive on your son who's been a gift to the game. Why? Has he separated himself? And she said very simply, he's not his score. And yet we say that, and you see the frustration today, even on world #1 Scotty Scheffler.
He's still hyper-competitive. I mean, you don't get to #1 in the world without being hyper-competitive.
Yeah.